Hello and welcome to Destiny Digits. Whoa. This is the life path number 2 reading. So, your life path number is found by reducing your birthday number. Birthday meaning date of birth, I'm sorry. And if you don't know your life path, you can use the link in the description box. However, twos, you carry the energy of union and partnership. You're very adaptable and diplomatic, right? Relationships are going to be extremely significant for life path number twos. The way you partner with other people, you're just very cooperative and you know how to kind of package your own energy in order to make space for everybody to kind of naturally just be themselves, right? And so if you have to pull back, if you have to show up a little more, like whatever, you are just very, sensitive. And intuitive. Like you can just feel when you have to respond or behave or, do something for the greater good. So, current space, how cute is this? So, oh my goodness, twos, I'm excited to read this already. All right, so current space, it says, this tells us where you are right now, and we have companionship. It says, giving someone your complete presence is an astonishing gift. Alrighty? So choose what's happening in relationships. Is this significant for you in this moment? Next, we had your task. What is your task at this moment? So right now, you're standing in a place of companionship. Your task at this moment says divine love. When you offer everything to the divine with detachment, you begin a love affair with spirit. Oh my goodness, what is happening? All right, and then your difficulties, liberation. The doubts and fears still come up. You don't believe anymore that they're you. So it's almost like you've freed yourself from something. But you're having a struggle remembering that because at times you doubt and fear the current space that you're standing in. And it doesn't seem like you're standing there alone because we have companionship and divine love. Your strengths, acceptance. We had acceptance. This is the second time we had detachment. It says radical acceptance in the now. So that's about being present in whatever this is right now and accepting it. So radical acceptance in the now is what opens the flow, and that is your strength. So what can help you? Being present in the now, accepting things as they are, but radical acceptance. So that's like just knowing that everything is as it is and will continue to work out for the greater good. And then your goal, wow, we have loss. Sometimes you learn true offering through loss. You make a passionate invitation for love to take over and bring her own plan instead of the ego's. And so again, that's about detachment, right? Our ego attaches itself to a specific outcome for its own benefit, right? But sometimes we have to release what we've attached ourselves to, and maybe what we've hung up to, maybe it just wasn't designed for us, and so we interpret that as loss, but in reality it was as it should have been, right? There's our plan and then there's the divine plan, and so the way we are interpreting the divine plan sometimes can be challenging if we are only really wanting to implement our own plan, right? And so that's where that battle of ego comes in. But love knows the way, right? Love knows the way. Alrighty, and then the extra card that came out, energetic clearing. During crises, the Holy One herself may be emptying you of fear and attachments, preparing you to receive her luminous plan. So that's the second time that we get this message of not even the second, right? Because we talked about being in the moment freeing ourselves from the doubts and fears of who we were before, realizing that we're on a path to freedom, but we can only free ourselves by being present, right? When we're not present, we're sucked into their past, which gives us doubts and fears and like doesn't allow us to just truly accept. And so when you are free, you're living in this space of acceptance. And when you accept this moment, it's almost like the floodgates open and then you're just in this constant flow, right? And so when things leave your life, realize it's because even that was an act of love, right? Because when something leaves, something replaces it. It's a continuous energy. So we really have to know that the divine is really on our team at all times, no matter what it looks or feels like. And this energetic clearing is kind of like giving ourselves a bath from the inside out, right? And when things go wrong, step in that space, like not running, like don't run from it, like living in it. So then we can kind of better make sense of it and then detach from it, right? Because we know that space is not going to last forever. The plan continues. And so when there's something that happens that's kind of like a tower moment, kind of traumatic, acknowledge it, process, reflect, collect the parts you need to move on, but then move on. Okay. And at the bottom of that deck, it's karma. It says there's nothing from a past life that can be addressed, that can't be addressed in the current life. And so, twos, I'm going to say that there are relationships that you are having, and I'm just going to go for it and say relationships, just one, you're a two, and a lot of your energy requires the energy of another in order for you to kind of like really use what you have, right? You need energies of other people. It doesn't always have to be intimate or romantic, but it is significant. So I'm just going to say that there can be relationship stories that are playing out in this life because they were started in another life, right? So sometimes when we're going through things, I think we just kind of have to realize that all energy is fair game, even if it's excuse me, even if it's past life energy. And so we could be meeting people that we dated and or had significant excuse me, or had significant connections with in our past life, in this life, but it's almost like we're just continuing stories. Um, and so just consider that. Attempt to see things from a higher perspective and kind of liberate yourself from the day-to-day dramas. Try to elevate and really see what this thing is from above. All right, so far we've got the Queen of Pentacles, the Page of Swords, the Queen of Cups, the Nine of Swords, and the High Priestess. And bottom of the deck is the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands. Alrighty. And so in this Queen of Pentacles energy, when we're talking about where we are right now, this is kind of the energy that you're standing in. And then when we partner that with companionship, I think this is one, it's realizing that you and yourself are valuable. In any partnership that you're ever going to be in, you are a gift, an asset. Okay. And so when you understand that, when that's the truth that you live in, others see you as that, right? And so when you offer yourself to people and you give all of you, the value that offers the other person is like something you can't really measure. Okay. And so when you give someone your complete presence, it's an astonishing gift, but you're doing that in this energy of the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles is somebody who was just beautiful inside, and they can manifest that to create this beautiful environment in the world. Like, this is somebody who works very well within in the earthly realm. Like, Pentacles, yes, could be money and finance, but in order to even generate that, there's a level of creativity. There's something that has to happen within you in order to make that show up outside of you, right? And so the energies that you possess are wealth. They are wealth. And so when you put that into another person or into a relationship, it's like fireworks, like anything is possible, right? I think these elephants can be significant for someone on this card. There's also dragonflies. Hmm. So your current task is the Page of Swords. And so Page of Swords, pages are young, youthful energies, not really mature, right? And so this is about stepping into this space where you are learning something, discovering something, receiving a message, gaining clarity, making a plan, trying to establish a vision, right? For whatever you're in. And so the page means essentially that in this moment, things, because we're talking about your mind, the sword, your thoughts are not yet mature. Your thoughts are not yet in a position where you feel grounded and have a true understanding. So realize that you are still learning something when we're talking about divine love, right? And so your task is to step into this energy of the page and accept that discovery is still to be had. Be in the space of there's more for me to know, right? And how do you know? How do you step into that? It's by detaching from what we thought we knew and realizing that we have to kind of fall in love with spirit. Divine love means like we have to be embraced by the divine in this moment. And it's in that embrace that we will receive all the information that we need, right? But in order to take in information, you have to be able to carry it. You have to have space for it. And so the page says that I don't know everything I need to know. And by saying that, you've made space to receive more, right? And so when you offer everything to the divine with with detachment, you begin a love affair with spirit. And so that is something that you are learning to do. That is your task right now, to step into this energy of learning, gaining knowledge and understanding so that you can better make sense of this connection with spirit, right? Detach from all ideas and programs that people told you about spirit and whatever that means for you, and really allow yourself to be new and to be poured into. So that's your task, okay? Now let's talk about difficulties. So we have Queen of Cups. So Queen of Cups, this is about our heart space, right? So when I think about challenges in our heart space is the seat from which all things in life naturally want to flow. Everything should flow through our heart space. That's our most real vibration and version of self. And so this Queen of Cups is somebody that needs their heart. They need their intuition. They need to be tapped in with their emotion in order to just be their best self. This is somebody that is very comfortable offering themselves emotionally. Sometimes it can be harder to receive love. Sometimes it's easy to pour into people, but sometimes receiving it can feel a little foreign if it's something that we, haven't really experienced. But when we're talking about this Queen of Cups and liberation, it says the doubts and fears still come up. You don't believe anymore that they're you. Hmm. And so I feel like this Queen of Cups energy talks about in matters of the heart, there's still work to be done. There's still doubt and there's still fears about who you are, what you can have in intimacy, in relationships. I feel like this is This is somebody who maybe is concerned about offering themselves or opening up to connections, really living in their heart space, right? I feel like that's what that is. I feel like that's a challenge. And so right now we're in the energy of the Page of Swords where we're trying to like make sense of this new energy, but it hasn't yet gotten to a space where we can like master it emotionally and realize that we are free of something. We have been liberated and we actually can like go all in, follow our heart and kind of, excuse our doubts, excuse our fears. Like, you know, when they surface, they're surfacing for a reason, but it's what we do with them that determines whether or not we are free, right? And so this is saying you are liberated from whatever wounded our heart space in the past. It's almost saying like you can open up again. You can step into this Queen of Cups. You can offer yourself to life again. You can embrace this love, but it may be scary. We may have fears. We may doubt that we're even capable of this based on what we went through in the before. But this is saying like you've been liberated from whatever that experience was. Like right now, this is about you and the divine having this loving moment. And it could be through a person that was sent to you, but it could just be in this space that you're in life right now. Now, what's helping you? What is a strength that you can have, right? And so if not realizing that you are free to love and be loved, that that's challenging for you, then what is helping you is stepping into acceptance, right? When you just accept this moment, like don't think about what was, don't try to go into the future, like don't try to overcalculate anything, like get out of your head. When you just when you just lived in the now, things will start to flow and open up for you. But the Nine of Swords says, not only are we not living in the now, but we are so far outside of this reality that we can't even like rest. Like our mind's not at rest. We're just thinking of the worst possible outcome. That's what that is, right? But guess what? Even if our worst nightmare was to come true, all it can do is come true. Acceptance is still our challenge. It's still what we are asked to do. And so your strength in the situation is just to say what will be must be, and I accept it. Right? And it's in that moment, in that space, that you can make peace. You can live in the now and you can watch how things unfold. Now, next is the High Priestess, which is stepping in as our goal. And so this is the space that we need to be in. We need to be tapped in intuitively, which is why liberating our heart is so important, because intuition and our heart space, those are one and the same. The cups, the water, the emotion, that talks about somebody who's deeply intuitive. And so the Queen of Cups and the High Priestess talk about the significance of intuition and how attempting to do everything in our mind is robbing us of our own sanity and peace, right? Sometimes things aren't going to make sense. And when we're trying to rationalize things in our mind, but intuitively there's something bigger, there's something spiritual at play, like we're never going to be able to make sense of it. And so we just have to make peace with whatever the situation is, right? And so when we live in our intuition, we can pick up additional messages. There we go. Alrighty. So I feel like you are being asked to intuitively understand what loss really is. So if you did have to free yourself of something, if you have to accept that something had to be released or let go of, I feel like Spirit is asking you to intuitively tap in and find the reason. Like don't like accept that loss is also a part of divine design, right? Yeah. And this is just saying that like The universe has its own plan, and intuitively, you know the plan. You know. You have the ability to know. You have the ability to tap in. You have the ability to understand. It's just about trusting and accepting the situations as they are. And once we can accept them and live in the now, then we can receive the flow, the downloads, the understanding about the things that are unfolding and happening in our life. So we have, instead of praying for an outcome, I pray for the highest good of all. And living in that space is easier said than done. And that's why attachment and detachment can be so challenging. If we only attach for all people involved to receive what is best for them, if that's our only attachment, then the disappointment, the fear, the doubts, those will never come, because we just know what's meant to be is really the best option. Right? And so your task, it says joy is the ultimate creator. And that's like saying, listen, sometimes I'm just not going to know how things are going to unfold. But what I do know is that things are really working in my favor. And my relationship with the divine is one that I trust. It's one that I trust. It's one that I work on consistently. It's one that I rely on. So no matter what other relationship leaves my life or comes into my life, the relationship that I have with the divine is forever. And that in itself is what brings me joy. And then it is from that space that I create the life that I love, right? That's a life that you live from your heart, one that you begin in joy. We have, I do whatever it takes to get closer to consciousness. And so this is about really setting the intention to listen and to not just operate from our subconscious, just going on autopilot, being afraid and doubting the tomorrow to come, not trusting our heart, not being open, not being receptive. And so all of those energies are literally just being asleep and not being conscious that this universe is alive and awake, and it's always in motion, and things are not stagnant, and things don't last forever, and they're only lasting forever when we just keep thinking and kind of perpetuating it. And so when we want to get closer to the now moment, to the reality, when we want to tap in and get closer to the divine plan, doing whatever it takes means literally planning for it. So 30 minutes, like, put it on your calendar, 2:15 to 3 p.m., tapping into my consciousness, like something like that. It could be drawing, it could be writing, it could be singing, but it's just the intention that I'm going to free myself from all those things that didn't allow me to feel liberated, all those fears, all those things that keep pulling me into what was. Like, I need to take a moment and tap into the truth of this. Like, I need to tap into my heart, because my heart knows the truth, but I can't hear it if I don't plan for it, if I don't allow it, right? And so your heart is your key to freedom, you know? Um, and your heart is taking you to consciousness if you let it, if you heal it, if you acknowledge what it needs. And that is the challenge. Now, your strength. We have, my outer experiences are a reflection of my internal condition. So that's that tricky part. This Nine of Swords is literally anticipating the worst. Like, I can't go to sleep, because if I go to sleep, I have to wake up tomorrow. And when I wake up, everything that I thought was going to go wrong is going to go wrong, but even 10 times worse than I even imagined it. Like, that's that energy. But the sad part is that because we are feeling that within, we are actually perpetuating that on the outside. And so our internal condition has to go through a temperature check. Right? And so in this moment, you may need a temp check to give yourself mental peace. And so your temp check is about acceptance. Tap in and use acceptance as your strength. No matter what comes tomorrow, when I wake up, I accept it. No matter what tomorrow brings, I'm here for it, right? When tomorrow comes, guess what? So does tomorrow night, and so does the next day. Like, time will pass, I will make it through. Even if the worst comes, I accept it. Like, that's that part. Not fearing it, but owning it. And once you own it, you can just be in the now. And that's so easy to say. But when we've been through some kind of traumatic experiences that have kind of made us a little afraid to open up our heart, it's just like acceptance it can feel like a mountain sometimes, right? Because our fears and our doubts are based on real experiences. We didn't just kind of create them. But I feel like the significance, this energetic clearing card is saying that energetically we need a bath, right? We need to cleanse our heart, we need to cleanse our mind, and we need to allow our intuition to do its job. But when we're living in fear and anxiety and doubt about connections, relationships, or significant times in our life, when we're living in that, we're like not able, excuse me, we're not able to really absorb and allow the plan to unfold. And even as the plan's unfolding, we're not even paying attention to it or seeing how magical things work out. Under the high priestess, it says, my energy creates my reality. What I focus on is what I manifest. And so intuitively, you know that, right? This is about allowing any fears, any questions, any worries, any things that you do not understand. I feel like this is asking you to make a plan to gain understanding outside of yourself. Like, be intentional when you are in these spaces of doubt. Realize that you just have to tap in another way, right? I feel like this is like kind of allowing the ego to break down and kind of just vibing in this high priestess energy. Like, that's the goal. And then at the bottom of the deck, it says, I surrender to a power greater than me. I surrender to a power greater than me. And so, relationships, energy, any significant connections that you were going through are definite, can be a continuation from past life, right? Energy is just energy and it can exist anywhere at any time. And so I feel like the most important relationship that you can have is the relationship with the divine. That's your most consistent relationship. Some other relationships will come and go, but realize that the divine is always aware of the relationships that are significant, the timelines of those relationships, which ones need to expire. And this is almost just being able to not fear an outcome, because intuitively you understand that there is a divine plan, right? What's meant for the greater, where's this first card? Instead of praying for an outcome, I pray for the highest good of all. Right? So I give everything I have into my relationships, right? I live in them. I jump in them. I'm not afraid to commit. I go all the way into my relationships because I just know that when I give my best, I get the best. And the best isn't the outcome I've decided. The best is the outcome that the divine has already put into play. And I'm learning and discovering that as I go. That's that Page of Swords energy. But as I learn and go and grow with the divine and through relationships, I do so in this space of joy, because it's joy that creates. It's not the Nine of Swords. This inability to have joy because I can't even accept the reality, or the fears, that are convincing me my reality has no joy for me. I can't find it. And so liberating our heart, doing whatever we can to make space to live in this present moment is what frees us and really allows us to show up in this life and to be responsible for the energies we put out and the experiences that we draw in. And anything in our life, people, places, and things, anything that we don't really like is a reflection of something that we can change. And so if there are relationships that you intuitively know have to go because they are not a reflection of what you feel like is what the divine says is your highest good, then those are things that we can disconnect from. People, places, and things, right? And so everything that you pour yourself into has to be truly something that like recycles joy. Like, like it has to, I feel like connections are very significant. And the divine will show you, the divine will guide you if you trust and allow yourself to kind of be a student, right? All right, twos, I'm hoping this reading was helpful. Thank you so much for stopping by. Take care.